There's a machine that cuts the spine off a book in one stroke. The pages go through a scanner. What's left goes in a bin. Recently, that happened to millions of books. Real ones, bought and paid for, and some of them were rare. An AI company did it on purpose and in secret. I'm going to read you a quote now, and I genuinely hate that I'm saying this, but it's not sensationalized. Project Panama is our effort to destructively scan all the books in the world. Yeah, that's also not a quote from a Disney villain, that's a quote straight from Anthropic. And look, nobody lit a match here. Burning books, that's my phrase, not theirs, but I feel good using it because what actually happened is probably a lot worse. A fire is loud. Somebody sees a fire. This was something silent, a purchase order. I'm Corbin, and this is Corbin Uncovers AI, one human reading the actual filings and news so you don't have to. I've spent years in Silicon Valley as a software executive, so I'm interested to share an experienced perspective on a story that's, quite frankly, making me sick to my stomach. Let's get into it. 3 documents, a company memo, a court order, and a blog, and it gets worse every time. In the 3rd document, we'll cover why AI companies are destroying books to gain an unfair advantage. It's the part that got me, so we'll save the best for last. Document 1, the memo, Anthropic's own planning document, unsealed because of a lawsuit. They said, rather simply, we don't want it to be known that we're working on this. Yeah, they might as well have said, we love Sun Tzu and all warfare is based on deception. So they knew exactly how this would look. Tens of millions of dollars buying used books by the pallet, cut apart with hydraulic cutters, scanned, destroyed. Document 2, the court order. June 2025, San Francisco. A federal judge looked at all of it and ruled it legal. His words for what Anthropic did was that they were doing something exceedingly transformative. And you need to hear why, because that's the whole thing. Copyright is about counting copies. If I buy a book and scan it and I keep the book, there are 2 copies now, the one I paid for and the one that I just scanned. It just so turns out that having 2 copies of something you paid for one time is the illegal part. Who would have guessed? When I was burning CDs of Eminem as a kid and giving my best friend a copy of Slim Shady, I wouldn't have been breaking the law if I would have just destroyed the original, which would have sucked because then I would have had to have pirated it again, and LimeWire was giving my computer a bunch of viruses, but I digress. Here's an important distinction here. They're not just giving a book to a friend, they're doing something much more complicated at scale and as a business plan. And there's good reason to believe that they're far from done, but we'll come back to that later. Going back to my point, and to put things simply, Anthropic is destroying books because they have to make it look like they only have 1 copy. Buy it, scan it, destroy the original. Now, again, technically speaking, there's still only 1 copy in the world. It's just a file now instead of a book. So the way the judge sees it, if you go and you rip Slim Shady and you give it to your friend, and then you smash the original with the hammer, you're all good, bro. Technically speaking, you didn't make a copy, you moved a copy. The judge wouldn't even care if they destroyed books and never scanned them. It's their property. They can do what they want with it, but they wouldn't do that because that wouldn't make sense. However, in a very real way, they actually are doing exactly that, but we'll get to that point later. For this part of the story, all the judge cares about is just one thing. 1 copy in, 1 copy out. So the shredding, paradoxically, isn't an ugly side effect of the ruling. The shredding, strangely enough, is what made it legal. Remember that because it falls apart by the end of this video. And Anthropic did get hit with a fine, $1.5 billion, but not for this. Before all the rampant book buying, they'd stolen 7 million books off pirate sites. And I thought I was bad with my hard drive of a couple hundred movies that I've pirated. So if you, an everyday person, pirate a movie, turns out you're breaking the law. And if an AI company pirates media, it just so turns out they're also breaking the law. So maybe the world isn't such a bad place after all, but wait, I just remembered the only reason Anthropic ever started buying books was because they'd already been caught stealing 7 million of them. The fine is what made them go legit, and going legit meant buying millions of books and running them through a blade. So really their lesson after all of this isn't stop destroying books, it's buy it first, scan it second, destroy it third. Document 3, the blog, and this is the one that's happening right now. A broker called ISBNDB buys books in bulk for AI labs, up to 1 million at a time, with a strict NDA on every job because, and this is a real quote from their blog, again, not me sensationalizing, AI company destroys 2 million books is not a headline that generates sympathy. Nobody knows who's buying. That's the whole point of an NDA. Anthropic is just the one that got caught. A used book dealer told reporters he used to sell about 20 books in a good week. Since April, it's been hundreds. He sells rare books, out of print, the kind where only a handful of copies are left anywhere. And if we look a little deeper at what the broker is actually selling, the story starts to paint an even grimmer picture. AI companies are now focused on old books, books printed before 2022, before ChatGPT. Anything newer they call contaminated. Their word, there it is, there's the reason. Because since 2022, the internet filled up with writing by AI, or in a more colloquial term, the internet filled up with slop. Train an AI on what other AIs wrote, and it gets worse. Copies of training data, getting trained by copies of training data, getting trained by copies of training data. You can think of it like a 5-year-old teaching a 4-year-old who's teaching a 3-year-old, and so on, until you might as well have a room full of college students who are attempting to learn from Professor Placenta. There's a term for it. Scientists named it in 2024, model collapse. They poisoned the well, now they need clean water. They aren't going back to old books because they're beautiful or there's something nice and semantic about them. They're going backward because they ruined going forward. Remember one copy in, one copy out? Well, honestly, that's fine for a popular paperback with 1 million copies circulating all over the place. But think about this same exact situation for a book with 4 copies left, or even worse, for a book with only 1 copy left. Think about a really rare book. They bought it, they made a copy, so where is it? Well, it's not in a library, it's not online, and it's not anywhere you can read it. It sits in a private company server, and the model can't hand it back either. The AI model doesn't keep the book. It just learned from it and is now currently helping you craft the perfect text response to your boss who's mad at you because you forgot to water the plants. Again, technically only 1 copy of the book exists. That's the whole legal angle. And every one of these deals from ISBNDB is under a strict NDA. There's no public list out there for us to hold anyone accountable. So if a last copy did go through a blade, nobody would ever know. It turns out Fahrenheit 451 got one thing wrong. There's no fireman here. Nobody's angry, nobody's making a point about anything. The horror isn't burning books. The horror is more terrifying. It's a purchase order, a hydraulic cutter, and a recycling truck on Thursday. Books didn't get banned, they got processed through subjugation, destruction, and enormous amounts of money that lay people can't ever conceive of having. If the last copy of a book ends up inside a model that won't show it to you or interprets it for you through the lens of a billion-dollar corporation that's essentially destroyed and locked away the original version of that book, does that book still exist? The strangest part of this whole story for me is that the destruction of rare books seems to be happening, at least in part, because of government backlash to AI companies pirating more books than hikikomori pirating video games. I'm Corbin, this is Corbin Uncovers AI, and I'll see you at the next news drop or paper. If you found this video interesting or educational, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much.